My name is Anna Mari, and I am your host. Today, I have two returning guests that I'm very excited to have on from Tomahawk. Gina and Renee are here, and we're going to be talking about 5, maybe steps to images that sell. Now, these guys are experts in the tourism industry, and last year they provided us with lots of insight on how to be relevant, be up to date, to make sure that all of our guests that are coming over have what they need, and to make sure that you can be seen out there in the world. So I'm always excited to have them on with their expertise and knowledge, and you should take advantage of it by using the comment section, chat function, or Q&A function. You guys answer questions throughout the session. So, we're always happy to take them. And I know that you're always jam-packed with information. So I don't want to take up any more of the time here besides just welcoming you on. Thank you so much, Gina and Renee, for coming on again today.
Kia ora. Thank you for having us. I just want to do a shout out to you right now, because I'm so pleased to hear you say getting people ready for our guests when they arrive in the country, because we're a real big proponent on not calling them the T word, which is tourists. They're guests. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Look, it's intuitive, I guess. But I am happy. I'm really glad to do this, because now we're in 2022. Things are changing. We want to have all of our ducks in a row. So what I'll do is I'm going to drop off here, because we have a lot of people that tune in on our social media platforms, and I want to make sure the chats are open.
Fantastic. Thanks. Let's do it.
So while you do that, we're going to share our screen. And to the point that Anna Marie made earlier, we were going to talk about 5 tips for images that sell. But today we've got a 6th tip.
One extra for free.
So very exciting. So let's kick off and talk to you about our DIY guide to images that sell. I'll let Gina kick off and talk about why this is important.
Yeah. So we often will be working with customers and saying that there are 5 stages to the travel purchase process, right? And the first stage is dream. Second stage is plan or research. Then they book. Then they experience your tourism product, and then they share that experience. And that sharing then feeds the next person's dream. What's that got to do with images? Because imagery is 100% about that first stage. It's about that dream stage. In tourism, we're selling a dream, and those emotions on whether they want to stay with you, join your activity, visit your region, is an emotional connection that is happening between pictures and images. Yeah. So for example, this picture that we've got up here is a new one from Sun Lovers in Tairua, an amazing accommodation. And this was one we helped stage to show the dream that people can be sitting on that deck in that hot tub, and that's their private view. Images sell. So everything in tourism starts with the dream, and which is sparked through your eyes, emotions for the dream stage. So yeah.
So is it worth investing?
It's a must. Gone are the days where you can take your own pictures and have the date stamp in the lower right-hand corner. You can take your own pictures. Okay, you can. And that's what today's about. We're going to walk you through how you can either do them yourself or take that step and invest, because the return is really, by the end of this presentation, I think the return will be obvious.
Yeah. So keeping in mind though that when you do invest, make sure that you work with a photographer who has experience within the tourism sector. A lot of people will come to us and say, oh, but we've got this amazing portrait photographer and they do beautiful family photos.
Great weddings.
And so their photos are perfect, they're right mood, but actually shooting people and, shooting photos of people and accommodation or activities is 2 very different things. So make sure you check out what they have done in the past within this area. And also use what you've learned today to work with them to get the best out of your investment. So don't let them take the lead. Be with them as a partner to get the best out of it.
Cool.
Nice.
So is it worth, we always have to throw in some stats because otherwise it's just an opinion. So 90% of information that's sent to your brain is visual, right? And understanding that this is an emotional purchase, tourism, it's not what we would call a logical purchase, which is more like a
dishwasher, washing machine.
Yeah,
fridge.
it's the load. It's an emotional purchase. 90% of the information is sent to your brain for visually. What we often say at Tomahawk is that a picture is worth 1,000 words. We've all heard that. That's not what we say. That's an old saying. What we do say is a video is worth 1,000 pictures. So if you're doing your photos, getting new imagery, at the same time, if you can do a video at the same time, boom, that's gold.
Yeah.
The average person only reads 20% of your web page, but will view every image. So all that work, you're going into that text and putting your heart and soul into describing everything. Yeah, you need it. You need it for those people who will, the 20% that will read it. You need it to please Google. But reality is where your gold is, where that golden goose is your imagery. You can read that last one. 63% of consumers said that images are more important than descriptions. And I don't know about you guys, think about when you go to, dare I say, booking.com, Airbnb, you don't read everything, you're choosing first by the imagery. Yeah, so think about yourself.
Yeah, and that's a great point because a lot of the time we're talking about the customer and what they want, but remember, they're not an alien from outer space. They don't have two heads and they're not green. They're like you and I.
Yeah.
They are customers, they're human, and you act in the same way that they do.
Yeah, right now with our borders closed, we are the market.
Yeah.
So there we go.
So here's I guess the goal and what we're all here for today, and it's those 6 top tips for taking fabulous photos. So what I'm going to do is run through the point, and Gina's going to talk a little bit more about the why so that you've got a full picture for today. So tip number 1 is experiment at different times of the day.
And the reason why is because we all love maybe those sunrise shots or those sunset shots. Those are very emotional. Maybe your property or your activity shines better in different light. We're going to share with you some pictures coming up next. How pictures, the same picture, can look so differently just by the time of day. Yeah, so it's really important to get those either sunrise shots, sunset shots, or the right time of day when your rooms, when your boat, when your kayak, when your activity is sparkling best.
Yeah.
So don't just like book a 1 hour or 2 hour photo shoot. You got to do it for the full day.
Yeah, and even better if they can, if you are in accommodation, have them stay overnight.
Correct.
So they are getting both that evening. And think of where you are located. You might be in the middle of Central Otago where there is no light pollution and you have an epic night sky. Make sure you capture that because that's what's going to get people to your accommodation. Keeping in mind that they stay there overnight, that's what they're going to see and miss out on if they don't stay with you.
One of the things we've talked about in the past to really boost your bookings during this time, domestic travel and also even when our borders do open, are packages. So we usually say, make sure you have a family package, an adventure package, a romance package. And why I'm bringing that up is because of that romance package. They sell year round. Yeah. What's romance? Nighttime candles. Another example why you need to do shots at night.
Perfect. So tip number 2 is prioritize landscape photos over portrait photos.
So this is mostly for your website, okay? If we've got social media people watching or critiquing this, they're going to go, hey, but portraits are for social media. Absolutely correct. But for websites and for most of the marketing activity that you'll do in brochures or other places, it's all about landscape. It allows you to really, in that format, take up real estate on your website, right? It allows people to engage and emotionally respond to the picture better.
Yeah, definitely. And don't feel that that comes as a surprise and you're like, oh, actually, because we all use our mobile devices like this. And so naturally you're going to pick it up and you're going to take a photo like this. And so it's just looking at things differently, a different orientation.
Absolutely.
Anything else to add on that one?
Yeah, I think we banged that home.
Cool. Point number 3, or tip number 3, is pay attention to the finer details.
The biggest thing that gets me when I'm talking about details is when somebody's paid for a photo shoot and they're like, oh, you guys, we got new photos for our website. Look at this, look at this. And then it's the detail. It's 100% the detail. The cords for the lamps are sticking out. The bedspread's not tucked in, or an entire corner sticking out. Or somebody's on a kayak trip and their life jacket's ripped. Yeah. So it's the details. Remembering that an image speaks 1,000 words. Whenever we're putting imagery onto a website or using it in a campaign or something, we actually stop as a team and we'll go, what does this picture say? Yeah, you literally look at it and what is it? And if those details aren't there, if those cords are showing or a ripped life jacket, that's what speaks. It makes you think, oh, is their safety okay? Oh, is this place really going to be clean and tidy? The other thing is that when we talk about details, it's all about staging. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. Do you want to talk about any more about detail?
No, I think you've covered that pretty well. It's also keeping in mind that sometimes things are better to be seen out of sight or not seen. So understanding that you might have an accommodation room, people know that there's going to be a rubbish bin, but they don't need to see it. Tuck it away, remove it, hide it. But also don't go overboard with some of that stuff.
And you need to simplify, you need to declutter. We've got this fantastic place that we were working with, and they had a room with a library, yeah? And they just had the books on it. And the books were all over in different colors and different heights. And we just politely said, what if we tidy all the books? What if they're all the same, either sized or, and the image changed instantly? Because what we call that is eye pollution or clutter. Yeah, eye pollution, where your eye goes to look at the messy books instead of this beautiful feel. So that's kind of the detail that we talk about. We've got a little tips and tricks book that we could send anybody that wants. And it's all about all of the lights have to be on in a room, every light. Every single window needs to have the curtains open. So those kind of details also fall into this pay attention to the finer details point.
Yep. Which does lead really nicely into top tip number 4, which is taking time for staging. So paying attention to those finer details actually does lead into that staging piece.
Yeah. So what does somebody experience when they're at your accommodation, at your activity, at your region, right? So accommodation is such an easy one to talk about, right? And I think everybody can kind of relate to it, hopefully. So what does breakfast look like? What does coffee sitting out on the balcony look like? What does a family package look like, right? Do you show that there's a trampoline and a play area? So understanding that you want to ensure that you're taking images that relate to your audience and the experience they will have at your accommodation, activity, or region. And how do we make these images say the words that we want? Okay, so that's what staging is all about. Do we have the cup of coffee? Do we have the colorful fruit? The colors yellow and red will always make an image pop, not together. It's all about having just a bowl of red strawberries, just a vase of yellow irises, making this up as I go. So what you do, and now that I've said this, you might start noticing, like when you see a beach picture for a tropical island, you'll notice that the girl is either wearing a red or a yellow bathing suit almost every single time, because that makes the blue of the sky pop. Yeah. So staging is really, really important. If you've got a pool, just have the pillows very nicely either rolled or, nicely laid on the chair.
Towels?
What did I say?
The pillows.
I meant the towels.
You can roll the pillows.
Yeah, sorry. I'm giving up coffee. It's not a good thing. So yes, the towels. So it's, and don't overclutter. You're just trying to use staging to give key messages.
think you've nailed that one. So we can move on to top tip number 5, and that is experiment with angles.
Yes. So one of the biggest DIY don'ts, if you're taking your own picture, is to stand on your own 2 feet and take a picture like this, right? Because that means everybody is only going to see your accommodation, activity, or region at your eye level,
And
right?
if you're Gina's height, that's really short.
Thank you very much for sharing.
You're welcome.
What you want to do is do you need to go down low? Do you need to be up on a ladder? Do you need to, angles, try everything. You'll see, if you watch photographers, you'll see them moving, right? And seeing what to get in it. So flat-footed photos are boring. I'm just going to say it. They're not gonna pop. Yeah. So really get up on a ladder, get down low. I don't know.
That's it.
Spin around.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind, if you are an accommodation provider, you want to make sure you're shooting imagery and video that doesn't make it look like you're selling the furniture. You're selling the experience, you're selling the stay. You're wanting people to know that you're selling a stay, not the bed in
Yes.
the room. Although, having worked in hotels, many people ask us the next morning where the bed came from and if they could buy one. So
Yes.
if you've got a comfy bed, a little side hustle for you.
Yes. There you go.
Which leads into top tip number 6, that extra top tip, which we have kind of touched on.
Yeah, I got ahead of
it's
myself.
a little bit of a wrap up, but make sure there's not too much going on.
Yeah, and so we kind of talked about this in my example with that library. What lots of times people were like, but I just want them to know that I have a coffee maker and this many teas and this many sugars and this many this. It's clutter in a picture. Yeah, clear the bench. Just make it look bright and beautiful. They don't need to know how many remotes you have. You don't need to line up all the remotes. Do you know what I mean? No, people do this. So declutter. And again, we're going to show you some pictures in a little while that might help to bring this home.
Perfect. So we're going to go to a this and that example that kind of wraps up what we've spoken about in real life examples.
Yeah. So this is somebody who, booked a 2-hour photo shoot. And so the photographer took the picture of the exterior just like that. Well, the exterior's in shadow at this time of the day. You come back later in the afternoon and it's in bright sunshine and you can just quickly see the difference. You can feel the difference. Yeah, hopefully.
Interior, this and that.
So if you just looked at the left picture, you go, okay, well, it's uncluttered and the lights are on. It's an okay room. Then when you look at the one on the right, check it out. All the lights are on. The drapes are pulled. We've just got this simple candle put on the lounge, right? It's just that little bit of difference. These are real estate shots because we didn't want to use real life customer shots. So let me just put that out there for anybody feeling that these look sterile like a real estate. These are. So hopefully you can see just by putting all the lights on, opening the windows and a candle that it really helps.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind and a conversation to have if you're employing someone to do this for you, talk to them about how they can amend their time or travel based on weather. So if it's a really grey, gloomy day and you're not going to get the best photos, ask if they can push it back a day or two or change when they actually come. You don't necessarily have to have a blue sky day with not a cloud in the sky, but you definitely want a day that is going to put your property or your activity in the best light.
Cool. Kitchen. Now you might look at the one on the left and go, oh, that's a good looking kitchen. I see they've got a marble and it's all clean and tidy. So what's the problem? Look at this angle. Change the angle, right? And look, now you can see that the kitchen seems brighter where it is in relation to the rest of the room. So this is just a really good example of changing the angle of an image.
And then last but not least, dining room.
And that's right. So What we have is just a little bit change in staging, just making it feel a little bit more homely, kind of tidying it up. So yeah, just a quick one.
Yeah, keeping in mind that the room that you might be photographing or the activity you might be photographing is the core. It's the center of what you are taking the photo of. However, you do want to make sure that the surrounding things, I'm not sure what you're saying there, Gina, that the surrounding rooms or surrounding area is also being taken into account. Is there litter in the background of the kayak shot that you're wanting to take? Is the room next door got their light on or the door closed if it's the bathroom, for example, and it might not need to be in the shot? In this example, they've taken the sixth chair away so that it's not adding more clutter and there is a nice clear space.
Hero. So when you're taking shots, it's really important that you make a shoot list. And those are all the different images that you want. And we've got an example of, do we have one included here?
Mm-hmm.
Great. We've got an example of a really quick shoot list for you. Well, the main thing that you want to agree on and really think about is what we call a hero shot. Not we, everybody. A hero shot is just that. That's that one image that just makes you say, wow. And it has to make you say, wow. If it doesn't say, wow, then it's not a hero shot, right? So what's that one image that really conveys the landscape of where you are, the thrill of your activity, the emotional pull, USP, your unique selling point. And so that's going to take in all of the different steps that you just learned. What angle is it going to be? How are you going to stage it? What time of day? All of it is going to be that one hero shot. That hero shot usually is the one image that's really big and used right when people land onto your website. It might be the first image in the carousel on any of your OTAs or any of your distribution channels, or that one image that you use in a campaign to spark those bookings.
Yeah. And keep in mind that the hero image doesn't need to change all the time. So a few years ago, I would be sending our hero images for the properties through to wholesalers for brochures. And one day I said to the team, man, I think I'm a bit over this hero shot and we need a new one. But what we then discussed was that we have to remember that the hero shot is being seen by different people. So we might have seen it 100 times and be like, okay, we've seen this hero shot a lot. But the customer and the wholesalers at the other end, this is the first time they're seeing that. And it needs to say, wow. If it's not saying wow to them, then definitely look at getting a new one. But yeah, don't feel that you have to change it all the time and invest every month because all of a sudden you've sent that image out to 100 different people. So yeah, keep that in mind.
If it works.
Yeah. So now we're going to look at some examples and understand and talk through, does your hero image inspire? So the first example we're going to show you for a few seconds. And Gina, did that inspire you?
No. So as you can see with this website, they don't have one big emotive hero image. They have a series of small ones. So your eye doesn't know quite where to go. Absolutely amazing property. Truly, truly stunning. But what I'm lost for words.
Which is valid because they've got a lot of them.
Yeah.
So no, would be perfect to have a great hero image. So we're going to show you another example or a couple of examples by where that hero image is front and center.
So this one, if I was to use words to describe it, I would call it serene. I would call it wide open spaces. It makes me feel like I could breathe. I don't know if I want to jump in the pool or the ocean, but I know I have the option. So those are how you can tell if it's a hero shot, because you have that feeling, I could be laying right there on that lounge.
Yeah. So we often get asked with hero shots or with any imagery, should we have people in those photos or should we exclude people from the photos?
You're gonna put me on the spot on that. When you put people in photos, you're doing two things. You're telling your audience who your target audience is and who's the people that could or should be there. And for some people, it feels, I'm going to use a really technical term, icky, because maybe they don't resonate with those people, or I don't feel like I want to sit next to those people. So other times you do want to have people in it so it feels more alive. So what do? You can use the side angles of people, the backs of people. You don't need to have people front and center. And please, if you're selling an accommodation, do not have pictures of your rooms with people on the beds.
Or in the bathtubs.
Or in the bathtubs. Reality is, we know that we're going to an accommodation and somebody stayed there before, but we like this false, we like this fake news. We like this false belief that room is just going to be for me. So yeah, any photographer and marketing agency will usually say no people on the beds.
Perfect. So one more example of a beautiful hero shot. Sorry, lost my words there. This one's a little bit of a contrast to the other one where there is a bit more going on. And so to Gina's point earlier around making sure that it's clear, not too much going on and cluttered, you can see in this example, the lines are still really clean. You're getting the experience of understanding what it is that you're going to be arriving at. And it's got a snapshot into the view that you might see, and some really peaceful, calming colors.
Yeah. So this is calm. It's like, oh gosh, I can lay in bed and look out directly to the lake. That's so cool. And oh, I've got a balcony and outdoor area. I like that idea. And I can see I've got space. So again, these are the words that a hero shot should speak. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's bright, it's light.
So when you are engaging with a photographer or you are going to embark on this yourself, here is a quick list of the images that you should take during the session or over a few days within a session. So the first being both evening and day shots, which we've spoken about.
And understanding, you guys, a shoot list, it's quite listed and quite detailed. This is just a very high level, hey, don't forget these shots.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The second being an external shot of the property. So that gives people insight into where they're going to be arriving in the bigger picture.
What the landscape, do you have a pool? What surrounds you? If you're in an activity, what's the place look like that they're going to arrive to? Not just the activity fun part, but give them that confidence of what the place looks like when they arrive, so they've got that anxious moment if I'm at the right place.
An internal property shot. So I looked at some examples of this already, whether it's an internal property shot or if you're an activity being had. So someone out on the water on the kayak, someone in the raft going down the river. Really important to have that.
Mm.
On that one?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. A moody detail collection of images. So maybe,
there is one thing, sorry,
go for it.
because you gave me the opportunity to take it. Really, really strange, but true. Make sure you do take pictures of every bathroom that aligns with a bedroom. So if your bathrooms are all the same, tickety-boo, but if bathrooms are different, remembering that 90% of travel is booked by women. And so women like to know what the bathrooms look like. It's really important. So some people just don't do the bathrooms. It's like, yeah, that's really important. Sorry. Back to the moods.
Yeah. So have you got quirky little details that are really unique to you? Do you have door handles that have been sourced from Italy and they've got beautiful etching on them? Obviously making that up because don't know if door handles have Italy etching. Tiles that you've used from Mexico and they're out in the courtyard. So that's the sort of detail that you can get into, because those images can be amazing on social media, because you can then tell the story about where they came from, why you've used them, and all of that sort of stuff. But it also allows you to use these images within the website to almost break up content, and again, still be part of that journey, and people get to buy into seeing that as well.
And one of the things you just said is really important, because the mood shots, the detail shots, are the ones that can be portrait. Yeah. They lend really well to portrait, to break up the content on the site and to use on social media. So yeah, really good point.
The next thing on your list is meals. So Gina's touched on this a little bit already, but understanding that if you are a bed and breakfast, make sure that you include photos of the meals that they're going to be getting as part of that experience. If you're a kayak trip and you're heading over to Rangitoto and your trip includes lunch, include people enjoying the lunch or what they're going to expect whilst they're over there. I mean, it's a long trip, so they want some food that's good.
And look back on the advice that was given previously when you do those meal shots. Yeah. So if you put jars of jam on the table to your guests, as opposed to put them in nice containers, please make sure the jars of jam are clean. Yeah, so don't convey something different than you offer. Yeah, so we're not suggesting that you put everything in crystal serving platters just for the images, but just make sure it's really clean. We've seen pictures where people just like have 9 jars of jam out and 2 kinds of butter, and it's just like, whoa, that looks like something that would happen, you know, at a family gathering, not that I pay for at a B&B. So yeah, here we go.
And the last tip, or no, not last tip, the last item on your shoot list is that if you're a hosted accommodation, make sure that you include any imagery around pets, dogs, cats, so that people are aware that when they arrive, they're going to be greeted by Harry the toy dog and Ginger the cat, and then you'll come second, just to give people that awareness.
Yeah. And if you're a hosted accommodation, you do need a picture of you under your about page. Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of our top tips and a bit of a shoot list that you can go away and play with. So we're going to stop sharing, and Anna Marie is about to come back, which she has. And we do have an ebook that encapsulates all of this. So
and more.
Would like the ebook, please do feel free to get in touch and we can send that through.
Could they get in touch by just going to your contact us page or something on? Okay, I'll drop that in the chat for everybody, like the website link, so that everybody has access to that. Because we did have Edith say, this is so informative. The ladies mentioned they had a book. I would be very interested in more info. Ari, the book, if it has this info in it. Yes.
So really easy to get in touch at tomahawk.co.nz.
Yeah, cool. We do have a couple of questions that have come in through social media. So one says, how many photos should you ask for if you hire someone for a photo shoot? Like, do you normally, I probably would be based off of price, but do you have like, obviously you've got your list there, but if somebody just had no idea, what would you suggest?
Wow, that's a really good question, and you semi-answered it. It's based on price. Yeah. So most photographers have a combination rate between time and numbers of images provided. Usually on a full day shoot, they will take, you know, well into 400 to 500 images. They usually don't give you all of them, right? So what they do is they will pick their best ones, do a little bit of polishing, and send you those. It's really important, and I really love this question, that it's up to you to create a really clear photo shoot list and be clear about what you want. That then gives them the opportunity to understand how many images and time is needed, and thus the price. Yeah. So go in with what you want and what you need. Again, in the ebook, there's a little bit more detail on this. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, feedback.
Yeah, no, I think that was really great. And there's kind of a follow-up question to that. It says, what would you recommend if you have a really small budget? So maybe you don't have the budget for a photographer to come out? Any recommendations there?
Look, I know a lot of photographers are very well priced, and I know that maybe $1,500 sounds like a lot, but the way that we usually say is that a ballpark standard price is $1,500 for a full day shoot for everything that you need for an accommodation or an activity. And what we would usually say is, how much does your activity or room cost, right? Let's say you're an accommodation provider and you're $200 a night. Do we believe that you would be able to get 8 more room nights in the next quarter with really great new imagery? 99% of the time, you're going to say yes. If that's a stretch too far, if that's just not even an option. We're in the tourism industry. Have you heard of the pandemic? We get it. We totally get it. Then that's when you take all this advice and you do some of your own photography. Yeah. And then get some more bookings coming in so you can then afford that professional photographer. That would be our advice. Yeah.
I think that is a really good point about the accommodation versus how much you get back in return. And the only reason I loved that example that you showed, actually, I've recently been to Nelson and I know that house that you're talking about. And
it's amazing. It's the largest privately owned home in New Zealand. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And the website, like, we are not dogging you. If you're watching this, we are, we would love to help you and to just revamp the website just so that people actually get to see what you're trying to offer, because it was quite cluttered and you could think of a few images of that space would just make it look just so inviting, versus you kind of look at a website sometimes and you go, are they going to be up to date with the kind of experience I want to have? Like when I look at the text or I look at the, the image size and quality, I go, who are the people running this? Are they people that like will get me? You know what I mean? And know what I want. Yeah. So I think like images, they make you think about your own experience of who you're going to be interacting with as well, like you said, and that is just so apparent. Another question here we had was, should you have pictures of staff? So if you did have like obviously you said you should have pictures of yourself if you're a guest place. Some people have maybe 1 or 2 staff. Like, do you think it's important to have pictures of those guys?
Yeah, like especially if you're an activity provider and you've got guides, absolutely front and center, share the team, share the guides. It really helps the potential guest or visitor or activity participant to already connect with you. They already, when they get there, if that person is the guide, and it is connection. Tourism is it's a people connection industry, and absolutely have a team page. Absolutely. If you're an accommodation provider and you've got a phenomenal garden, like let's say you're blah, blah garden B&B, and you've had the same gardener, I'm thinking of one in particular. The gardener's a character. He's there all the time. When the guests are there, he'd be so fun to highlight, because then it shows something about your relationship with the people that help you at your business. So absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I can just picture that story now, and then maybe you have a blurb next to him saying, this is Tom, he's been with us for 30 years.
Exactly.
Make sure you say hi to him when you visit, that kind of thing. Yeah, lovely. I love that.
Yeah. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Any other questions?
I'm just going to jump and see if we've got anything, because they don't stream through. I actually have to pull them through. So no, it looks like we're good. We've just got folks on other platforms. But I must say, like, as I watch you guys, present, you're just so funny. It's like, it really reminds me of almost like the Muppets with the 2 guys that sit up in the, that's like hilarious.
She just told us Muppets.
I thought we had 2 more booked in, Anna Marie.
In a really good way. Do you know what? I wanted to mention your next session because it's a hot item. March 2nd, Tomahawk is coming back on. They're going to be talking about how to use Pinterest for your business. Now, we haven't touched on Pinterest at all here at Digital Boost, which is it seems almost crazy now after this many sessions. But what I thought when you said, let's do a session on Pinterest, I thought, how does this relate? How does this relate? So I'm really excited how we're tying this all in, how we can use Pinterest for our business. And because it's a free thing, you don't have to pay for Pinterest. You can jump on there.
Pinterest is like such a powerful social media platform that people don't engage with. Pinterest is one of the only ones that Google, like for search engine optimization, boom, it screens, tracks what you do on Pinterest, right?
Let me tell you something. You guys always know the hacks. All the hacks for getting SEO on Google. If you missed out on their sessions last year for Google My Business for Tourism, you need to check out that session because they gave so many hacks to be recognized 1 million times with your one business. It was so good. I recommended it in my top 5 for 2021 as sessions to check out if you're in that industry, because it was that awesome. So I would revisit that. Check out the Pinterest one that's on March 2nd. Join me. I'm going to be really excited for that. And then I think we do have one more booked. I'm not sure what the topic is, but I thought let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
But the image lessons from today kind of tie over.
Yeah.
So there's some,
Yeah. And I really appreciate the fact that we are now into a very different year. And hopefully we will also delve into some more of that as the environment in tourism shifts. We'll start to delve back into that as well and make sure that we're really relevant with what we've got on Digital Boost in this area. You guys are the experts in my mind on what happens in tourism. So I'm looking forward to all that work that we're doing this year and making sure that our DBs are all up to date. So I just want to thank you once again, ladies, for coming on this morning.
Cheers. Thanks for the opportunity.
It was our pleasure, seriously. Have a wonderful day, everyone.